currently working on here is what I would call an underpainting. So I'm going into this photo and putting in the darker colors first, and then what I'll be doing is I'll go over this with some marker, and I will engage in a process of adding and removing different parts to create the lustrous effect that we get from the final pieces. So this particular, I'm starting with the face because I always have this kind of nervousness about there's a lot of abstraction in my work, and when there's something that I need to be concrete and for the eyes to attach to, then I spend a lot of time on that particular area. So the face is going to be the main focal point of this particular piece. So I'm going to be spending a huge amount of time in this area, which seems appropriate, right? Because I want these eyes to really stand out and anchor the rest of the work. As I continue forward with this, so I put down a layer of some oil pastels to pull out some emphasis in different places, like here in the lips. And what I'm going to be working on here is the accentuation of the paper texture, which can get lost really easily under the different coats. So it seems strange to go in with this marker and do this, but it's not actually that strange. Because what will happen is throughout all the different layers that I add in is these different lines will actually fall away enough that you don't see them as strict lines, but they give the impression of the texture, which is what I respond to, and I hear often from other people as well. They respond to. So I'm going to continue going into this textured area and pulling out some of the crisp edges that I need in order for the effect to work as all the paint goes up on top of it. Okay, I blocked in a few things that I want to build up from, so you can see the texture has gotten pretty heavy in some of the places. And you can see that outline that I was referring to before. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going in with a matte varnish, and I'm being intentional about the direction of the brush strokes because I'm going to be using that to help create more texture. When I go back over with other colors, I'll come back and show you that, of course. But right now I'm just trying to get this in here and not pull too much of the oil from the surface, which can be a problem. But it's also an opportunity, as many things are. So you can see I'm going with the wrinkles in the paper here because I'm going to be exaggerating that. And I'm not concerned about a smooth surface here, again, because I'm going to be using these elements of texture against one another. So by having all this texture, when I drag another oil over the top, I don't compromise the texture of the original photo that I was working with. Sorry, I keep pulling back and forth here because my varnish is behind me. And hopefully this video won't have a problem with the music in the background. And you can see in the jewelry pieces here that I've gone in pretty heavily with the texture because I want to build it up and I want the jewelry to feel three-dimensional on top of the body as well. So I went really heavy starting off when I usually go very light and build upwards because I want that texture to really pop. In the smaller sketch of this, I did the poster size. I sort of blacked them out a little bit too quickly, and then I didn't feel comfortable with the jewelry all the way through. This is in the hair, and I went in with black here, and I left some of the texture below it, some of the image to pop through so that I could balance the color there and those elements. So I'm going to keep putting this on. You don't need to see the rest of this. So now the varnish has dried, and I think if I go to a side you can see how the layer here is no longer active, so I can now go over it and start mixing colors into that. And you can see up here I went ahead and put in a little bit of yellow to highlight, and as it goes in you can see the texture that's created, but now I'm not moving the pigment below it, and that was a really big problem before because when you're working with these oil sticks you're mixing on the surface, and so I wanted more luminosity, and that's where the varnish came from. Was the ideal that the only way to get that luminosity that I was looking for was if I could stabilize the oil below it and still get enough transparency that the color would mix. So there you go. A major secret just given away to you. So a little bit of a recap for what I've been working on today. So behind me here, you got to see a few of the different layers that I was putting in with marker and oil pastel and the varnish. And you could see that the effect is starting to come through. The highlights tend to overwhelm at this stage, and then as I go back and forth with different colors, you'll start to see that some of this extremeness in the color will die down a little bit, although I really like the color. And I just want to draw for comparison here. This is the 24 by 36 poster, and already some different qualities are coming out of this, and I've already decided that I'm going to go in a few different directions here. So, but I'm very excited about actually getting to take this much larger, because working small is a little bit harder for me to do at times, and I like to play with the color, and when you're at a larger size you can actually do more with the color. So keep coming back, we'll have some more updates for you soon.